So my name is Christina Shaw, and as Gary said, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here for Blue Fountain. That's a little bit of a new title on the agency side, so what does that mean? Everybody kind of asks me that. It means that I have two jobs, essentially, more like 2,000 jobs, but my main two jobs are to run our marketing and strategy team on the client side. So for the clients that are in here, you've all seen me in your meetings. But I also work pretty closely with our corporate marketing team to actually drive leads from our corporate website. So I say that to you because I get it, right? I get how hard this is. I've been on the client side, I've been on the B2B side, I've been on the agency side, so I understand how hard it is to actually generate leads from websites. It's not easy. The stuff I'm going to share with you today is practical stuff that we put in place on our strategy team side to build conversion funnels for our clients. I'm looking at my clients in the room and kind of excited because they're going to see stuff that they see already in their strategy presentations. So the first question I want to ask everybody, though, is who needs more leads? I should see a lot of hands because everybody needs more leads. The sales team is never, ever happy. I know this from personal experience, right? That's why you're here, I assume. The second question I have, though, is, and you have to be honest, yesterday's group lied. They lied. Who here is good at generating really bad leads? Nobody? So you all can go home right now. No one's good at generating bad leads? You're all lying too. So I've been there, right? They're unqualified leads. You have a company name, you have an email address, maybe it's not a Gmail address, maybe it's actually the company address, phone number, or maybe you're just generating a ton of traffic to your website and you can't figure out why you're not getting them to convert. This happens every single day. I missed both of my cues, by the way, because I didn't take the clicker in my hand. So these are the two questions we're asking ourselves, right? How to generate more leads, how to generate more qualified leads. This is what we're asking ourselves every day on the client side and on the agency side. And what happens is clients come to us here at Blue Fountain Media. I happen to be in marketing before Google, right? So I've been here a long time. And I've been here since a time when marketing was about throwing spaghetti against the wall. We were identifying a group of targets based on the things that John Michael was talking about, maybe household income, maybe age, maybe gender, and then seeing what stuck. And then once we figured out what stuck, we would do that over and over and over again to more and more of those same people because it's always been a numbers game. How do we get more eyeballs on the website? Because that will eventually generate more leads. But really what we want to do, Blue Fountain Media, people come to us every single day and ask us for this marketing strategy, right? We want more eyeballs. But before we actually do that and get you more eyeballs, we start to look at the funnel. So what we want to do is ask ourselves hard questions about your website. Is it ready to convert? Is it optimized for actual lead generation? Because if it's not optimized for lead generation, we have to continually spend more and more of your money to go out and get more and more of those eyeballs to come in and hopefully convert. And that's not what we want to do. So we're going to look at the funnel today. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how the funnel looks. From my perspective, this is a website conversion funnel. There's a lot of other funnels out there. There are digital marketing funnels. Google probably has some funnels. There's some that work, some that don't work. I've broken ours into 3 sections to keep it really simple. But if you're a really complicated B2B client, this is going to get more, more deep as you go. You're going to have more phases to this. A couple of pieces of terminology. So top of the funnel, we abbreviate as TOFU. I don't actually say that out loud, but we abbreviate it as TOFU. You're going to see a pretty large group of unqualified visitors to your website, right? These are guys who are just browsing. They're learning about a problem that they have. They're asking themselves some questions, and they're not really ready to make any kind of commitments whatsoever to us. And we're seeing this more and more in marketing. We have people out there, buyers who are educated. They have access to information. They're empowered now, and they want to spend more time in this phase asking themselves questions, thinking about it, browsing, looking at pictures before they're ready to make a commitment. And part of building a good conversion funnel strategy is respecting the fact that they don't want us to actively engage them at this point in time. We could actually tick them off if we talk to them too soon. So as these guys move further down, it's a more narrow group of people. They've been thinking about the product. They've been thinking about the problem that they have. They're starting to become more interested. They're considering some options that they have, and they're somewhat committed to the process now. They've made a commitment to say, I'm going to find a solution to this problem that I have. And so that means they're a little bit more committed to actually taking action on the website and doing something we want them to do. As they move down, they're obviously getting more qualified. You have a smaller group of people. They have been thinking about this problem for a while. Now they know that there are solutions out there. Hopefully at this point they know that you have a solution for them and they're ready to make a decision. And then all we have to do is essentially compel them to make a decision in our favor. And the truth is, I'm going to show you later, a lot of your websites are set up to do this. We're really good to actually compel them to do that bottom of the funnel conversion. What we want is to capture them all along the way. Now, when a website comes into our team for marketing, our strategy team builds in 3 basic components to our funnel. The first one is going to be marketing. We're going to ask ourselves, what kind of marketing channels are going to drive the most relevant traffic at each stage of that funnel? You're going to be looking at things like search engine optimization, paid media, social media, email. Anything that you're doing offline is going to fall into this category. We're also going to consider content. So what are the messages that everybody wants at different phases of the funnel? And then how do we build content to speak to those? And then the last thing are the conversion points themselves, right? So how do we get them to raise their hand and actually do what we want them to do at any point in time? I'm not going to talk too much about marketing today because my team is going to take you through how to use marketing to actually market to different parts of the funnel. But what I'm going to focus on is really understanding the buyer and understanding how to build a content map and then conversion points to actually succeed in building a website that converts. So let's build a funnel. The first thing we ask ourselves is how your website is working now. So if you come to us with an existing website, our team is going to do an audit. And usually what we see is this. Websites that right on the homepage say, we are awesome, we're amazing, you should buy us right now. And you're all awesome. All of our clients are awesome. They all have great value propositions, but not everybody is ready, right? They're not at the bottom of the funnel. This is a website set up to convert people at the bottom of the funnel and capture people who are ready to make that final decision. But if they're not ready, then what happens? We lose them. They fall off the funnel. These are the leads that may have even filled out a form, but you can't market to them again. They're not interested. They're not ready. We didn't say to them what we needed to say. So we want to capture them at all phases of the funnel, because otherwise we have to spend more money to go out and get more eyeballs to hopefully get them at the bottom of the funnel and get them to convert. So how do we do that? The first thing we're going to do is take a deep dive on the customer. You have to ask really hard questions. Typically what we start with is stakeholder interviews. We're going to interview your C-levels. We're going to interview usually your sales team because they know a lot about your customers and how they're thinking. We're going to interview, we'll probably do some quantitative analysis through surveys to your customer support team or your product support teams, and certainly to your clients themselves. We want to understand exactly how they're thinking. We're going to start with the basic things that we've always known that John Michael was talking about, like demographics. But I want to ask other questions. I want to know their pain points. I want to know the problems that they're having, the reason that they're actually going out and looking for a solution right now, because I have to build messaging to speak to those things. If they were going to buy a product or service like yours, whether that's a sweater or a software technology, what are the requirements list that they're going to have? You may not even address all the requirements, but that's why you have to talk about it, right? Because they're going to be looking for that, and you have to address why they maybe don't even need those requirements. I want to know who the influencers are, whether that's mom influencing the decision on a prom dress purchase, or if it's the C-suite influencing a technology decision. I want to know who those influencers are. I'm not going to get them to make a sale unless I can talk to them at all stages of the funnel. What's the process like? How long is it going to take them? What hoops do they have to jump through? Do they need a buy-in or a champion on the inside in order to make this process work? Do they need mom to approve that iPhone? What is the process that they're going to actually go through? How long is it going to take? What are the touch points? Are they expecting a free sample? Are they expecting a trial? Are they expecting a demo, right? Are they expecting to talk to a physical person, walk into a physical location? These are all things that you have to build into your funnel. At the end of the day, there's going to be a certain number of barriers that prevent them from actually making a decision. This is the point where they're crapping out. They're like, we may not actually want to make this purchase. They may even decide to do nothing at the end of the day. I want to know what the barriers are that's going to stop them from making that purchase, because we have to speak to that as well. Now, if you've done what you're supposed to do and you've installed analytics on your website, we can get a lot of data from this. And John Michael already trumped me with all the stuff that we can pull. But basically, we're going to ask ourselves questions like, what are the entry and exit pages, right? Where are we capturing them and where are we losing them? What is the messaging that's working and not working? What kind of content do you have existing and how are they interacting with that? Is it working? Is it not working? We're also going to look at any conversion points. So even if you have basic conversion points set up, like a request information, we want to know exactly how they're interacting with that. Is it working? Because we have to fix those if they're not working now. And then the last thing we're going to look at is keyword data, because this is a window into how they're thinking. What are they searching for? How are they thinking about the problem? How are they thinking about the solution that they're possibly looking for that we have to offer them? For this, we'll look on site if you have a search tool set up and what that data shows. And of course, we're going to look to Google for that as well. Now, how many of you think you have the answer to all of these questions about your customers? Well, now you're at least telling the truth. Because customers come to us every single day, and I sit in discovery meetings, and I ask them these questions, and they don't have the answers. They don't know all this information about their clients. It's hard to collect this, right? There's a process to this, and it's iterative. You have to keep going back at it every 6 months and getting more and more information. So it's really important. Hopefully this is a guide to kind of get you in the right track, but it's really important to get a clear view of your customer, because the next thing we're going to do is build a buyer journey, and then we're going to map the content that we need to that buyer journey. So this one, if you think about this, it's the conversion funnel tilted on its side, right? We're still mapping the way that people move through the website, but now we're actually following them along the decision-making process at the same time. And I've broken this out again into 3 sections to make it simple, to match up with our funnel. But again, if you have a B2B software solution, which is, you know, I keep picking on that because I have a B2B software client in the room, this is going to get really long. This could be 10 phases. People are making complicated decisions along the way, and there's a lot of people involved. But if we look at the beginning of their journey, people are usually curious, right? They're thinking about the problem, they're learning about it, they're understanding what the iPhone has, they're understanding what the software solution has, they're looking at shirts, and they're figuring out if it's the decision that they want to make. And at this point in time, we want to talk to them about stuff like that. We want to speak to them about problem-specific issues, maybe things that are going to validate for them that they really have a problem, validate that there's a solution out there for them, and that we have a solution that can actually meet this need. And we're looking at bite-sized chunks of content, blogs, infographics, quizzes, slide shares, things that are not going to take a really long time for them to consume because they're not ready to make a commitment at this point in time. As they learn more about the problem that they have, or the thing that they're interested in buying, they're going to start research and planning. They're going to start asking themselves questions about the purchase, the solutions that are available. And at that point in time, we want to do more solution comparisons. We want to line them up side by side and talk to them about the differences. We want to apply those solutions to different verticals, right? If they're in a particular industry, how does that solution apply to the industry that they're in? Because that's all the information they're going to need to start making this decision. For this, you want more substantial pieces, things like white papers, webinars, demos. Worksheets and kits work really well. We've done them a lot on the B2B side because this is going to invest people in you as they're making this decision-making process. They're going to use these tools as they're going through this, keep you top of mind throughout that whole purchasing cycle. At the end of this cycle, they're always going to hit a due diligence phase. This is not the time to bail on them in terms of content, right? These guys are going to ask themselves now, do I really need to do this? Do I really need to invest this money? Is this the thing I should do? Or should I do absolutely nothing? This is always an option for them. Should I just not make this investment at all? This is the time to justify that purchase. You're going to talk to them about why they absolutely need to make this decision, why you are the only one for that choice. This is the place where those barriers are going to come in handy because we want to address all those objections that they might have to the purchase. They might be in a trial or a proof of concept process at this point in time, so you want to talk to them about that process and what they're going to get at the end of it, and that they should stick with you because they're going to get all the information they need to actually make a decision. Of course, cost analysis, case studies, things like that. Once you have all your content mapped to the entire buyer journey, you're going to take a step back and ask yourself, where are they likely to convert and what are they likely to convert on? And now you're using all the information that you've collected to make that decision. And that's when you're looking at conversion points, and you should make a long list of the ones that are going to work for your company. So these are things like, do we want them to download information? Do we want to gate it, meaning do we want to ask for an email address or some kind of information from them, or do we want to keep it completely free because it's top of the funnel content and they're not really going to want to give us any information to get it? Do we want them to sign up for a webinar? Do we want them to request information or request a demo? If you have software, if you have something they can touch and play with, you might want to offer them a free trial. Of course, we want to get them to contact sales at some point, but the important thing to point out about this is not all of the clients that come to us actually need somebody to fill out information on the website or actually close a sale. Sometimes they're just needing it to validate some offline sales process that's happening and just make sure that when the person comes there, they can confirm that this is the right company for them. And in that case, clicking a link might actually be considered a conversion point, right? And we want to know what that is, we want to track that, and we want to make sure that our funnel drives them to do that action. So up until now, we've been talking about our conversion philosophy and how you can apply it to your businesses. It's all going to be different, but let's take a look at one of our clients, Pex Card. I've been working with Pex Card and our client team here for a few months now. Pex Card, just as a brief overview, they do business prepaid debit card solutions, which means First of all, it's a B2B company, and it's a mouthful, right? But basically, if you're a company, you can get these debit cards, you can put money on them, give them to your field sales team or anybody that needs to use them, set a specific cash limit, approve certain purchases, decide what's going to be an approved expense or not. And when they use that card, they can get to the end of that. They can't spend any more money. They don't have to fill out any forms for reimbursement. You can go in and slice and dice the data any way you want. So Pex Card is awesome. Everybody should have a Pex Card. That's my plug for my client. Pex Card came to us a few months ago, and they needed more eyeballs. That's what they wanted. They wanted a marketing strategy because they wanted more eyeballs and they wanted more leads. And before we did that, I said, we kind of need to look at your website and build a funnel and see if it's set up to convert. And lo and behold, what we found when we looked at Pex Card is that they had two problems. The first problem was exactly what we see with most clients, which is they were set up for bottom of the funnel conversions. This is what their homepage looked like before. They had a big red Start Now button that drove people directly into a very complicated application process. And it was only relevant for one particular person. One or two people in a company could actually fill that form out. It asked for a lot of information. And they weren't ready always to make that decision right then and there coming to the homepage. The second thing we found is that we were ignoring a bunch of influencers along the way. There were people that actually needed to help make this decision and that would bring this solution directly to the end user who's going to make the final decision on purchasing this product, and we weren't talking to them at all, and there were no middle of the funnel conversion points. So what we did over the last few months is we worked on building a middle of the funnel conversion point for them. This is a simpler form. It asks for much less of a commitment, and it gives them something in return that speaks to where they are at that middle of the funnel. Now it addresses influencers that we weren't talking to before, and we've seen in the last few weeks that this has actually been generating more qualified leads, more of them, and we're expecting that they're going to move people further down the funnel. We're also now working on a top of the funnel solution for Pex Card because we need to talk to them earlier on in the process and capture them earlier. So through the magic of Prezi, instead of talking about generalizations, this is the final conversion funnel that we built, the actual conversion funnel we showed to the client. So what I want to point out about this is it's very custom to Pex Card. It has all the components that we've been talking about, all these general components, but it's very specific to what Pex Card needs and their buyer. We built their buyer journey and took it and then put it back on its side in the opposite direction and laid it out against the funnel. These guys do something different than maybe your clients will do, because at the bottom, they have to take a trial before they actually consider that purchase. And if you see along the bottom, Pex Card has an even more complicated part, because once they invest in the actual application, there's still some steps and conversion points they have to go through to fund and start using the card. So it's a rather complicated mix here. So what we did was we identified the needs of the customer all along the funnel. We built a content plan to speak to those needs, and then we built in new conversion points to actually address those clients at that point in the funnel. And again, we built that middle of the funnel in, and it's starting to work. The other thing I want to talk about Pex Card before I hand it off is that Pex Card has something employed called a marketing automation solution in the back end. And this is something that I've been working with for probably 5 years now, and it's a very, very important tool. When you work with this tool, it allows you to nurture leads down this funnel, so it's not quite so complicated to talk to them at different steps along the way. And that's a perfect segue into Joe's presentation, because he's going to talk more about the marketing automation platforms we work with here. Sometimes companies come to us with a tool, and we can work with that tool and adjust it the way that we do at Pex Card. Other times, they don't have one, and we can make recommendations for them. So Joe's going to talk more about that. So thank you for listening, and I'll be here later.